Hello, good evening. It's Michael Scarbossa here. Welcome back to my Q&A on save, invest and grow your money. So the end of the financial year here in Australia is fast approaching, so 30th of June to be exact. So I thought it was a pretty good time to talk about how we could access more cash to keep in our pocket. Now, my financial advisor contacted me within the week, and with the end of the financial year coming, he just triggered me to have a look at something to go, hey, do you want to invest some extra money into a particular area that's going to keep you some money? And as he reminds me every year, because it's something I like to max out that opportunity. So I do that. He tells me what the gap is, and I invest that money. But what I'm talking about here is for most of us, if you're earning more than $45,000 a year here in Australia, um, most of us are leaving 17.5% of our cash behind on the table. So that's 17.5% that you could have in your pocket. What does that? What does 17.5% mean? Well, for every $1,000 you earn, that's 175 bucks. It's actually a lot of money when you add all of that up. So you're thinking, well, this actually sounds pretty good. Yes, and it is good. But what's the catch? How do you get your hands on it? What do you do? Well, what it's all about is your post-tax contributions into your super. So um, with that, I just want to make sure you're aware that I'm not a financial advisor. Everything I'm sharing here is what I've learned and what I've learned for myself to develop wealth for me and my family. So I'm just merely spreading the message so you can understand other opportunities that are available from you, and for you to be able to go and ask your own questions around that and do your own research and make your own decisions. Okay, I'll just get that out of the way now. But super is our money, right? Okay, it's a long-term investment. You can't get your fingers on it for a long time until you turn 60 for most of us. But it is our money. So if you could put more into that, wouldn't you do it? So just a couple of super 101 things here in Australia. So super, all your contributions that you put into super at this point in time, as we talk here in financial year 2022, um, there's a concessional tax rate of 15%. So for most of us, if you're earning more than $45,000 a year, that next band up to 120, you're paying 32.5% income tax. If you could take some income and only pay 15% tax on it, isn't that a better outcome? That's an extra 17.5% in your pocket. That's a massive outcome. Of course, you would do it. But the catch here, it's all about encouraging you to put extra money into your super to save for your retirement. So it's a long term investment. But on top of that, 17.5% is not to be scoffed at. And you've got to look after your future. Now, it's all about understanding the rules of the tax game. And the tax game is that the government gives you that incentive to be able to take that advantage. So employers in Australia have so your super there is compulsory contributions by your employer in Australia. Currently, that's 9.5% of your income. You don't even see that. Your employer takes that 9.5%, invests it in your super fund. That 9.5% of your income gets taxed at 15% and not your overall income tax rate. Now, with that is increasing in the coming years. It's graduated and increasing up to 12%, the compulsory contributions from your employer. But you can also go and put additional contributions from your own pocket into your super fund. And by doing that, if we just talk about this here, so just say you're earning 120K a year, $120,000 a year, your tax bracket's 32.5%. So as I've said before, 32.5% to 15% in super contributions, that's a difference of 17.5%. That's the extra cash you're getting. Now, if you take, let's say a simple example. Let's say you invest $4,000 this year into your super on top of those compulsory contributions from your employer. Now, I hear you moaning $4,000. Oh my God, that's a lot. I don't have $4,000. Well, come on. It's actually not that much. It's less than 5% of your income. We should all be striving to save more than 5% of our income, hands down, pushing it out to 10, even 20 if you can do it. Absolutely. It's only 5%. So it'd be a good way to, get your debts in order, get that paid off, find a way to be more efficient with your money, start saving 5.5%. It's about $333 a month to be precise. So work out a goal how you can work to save that money per month. Now, what that 17.5% actually means, if you go and take that $4,000, extra $4,000 to put into your super, that tax saving is $700. That's a lot of money. That's $700 that's going to be invested in your super rather than disappearing to the tax man forever, and you'll never see that money again. Never. So I don't like. I certainly don't like throwing away $700. I'm sure none of us here would like throwing away $700, and we're probably a little bit disgusted in ourselves, realizing that we're actually doing it. But anyway, now let's just sort of roll that forward a bit. If you then kept that going, so let's say you hived off $333 every month, you kept that going for 20 years at, let's say, a very modest return of 5%, and history suggests it will be more than that, but none of us have a crystal ball of what's going to happen in the future. You would have made $50,000 on that $70,000 investment over time. So it doesn't sound like a big deal, but when you start to think about this over time, it is a big deal. So, if you're 40 now, you'll get your super when you're 60. That's extra cash you're going to have when you're 60. And that's a great thing to do. Now, I urge you not to put this off. I urge you to find a way to get your debt sorted out, work out how to save more money, and get that bit of extra cash going, and get a plan in place. If you can't do it this year, well, at least get a plan in place to try and get some extra contributions happening in the next financial year. So just this example alone, I just want to share an example of what the cost of waiting is, and I might be able to just share my screen here to help demonstrate that. So just let me see if I can do that. Just share my screen. All right. Hang on, just let me work this out. All right. Sorry. Share screen. Okay. So this here is a website, moneysmart.gov.au. So it's a tool given to us by the government. It's actually quite good. There's all sorts of things in this website, moneysmart.gov.au. I encourage you to go in there and have a look and have a bit of a dance around. But this is just a simple compound interest calculator. So we just work through this for the moment. Okay, so let's just say a regular deposit of $333 a month, and let's go 20 years, 5% interest, and we get this little graph here. So you can see this here. Let's just say we're in year 1, that's year 20. Let's say we delay a year, so we don't actually start doing this for another 12 months. So let's call today day 1, and we do nothing for the first year. So this year 1 will now be year 2, and year 20 will now be year 19. Now the difference here is, you can see you've got a total of 136,000 there. And if you go back a year, it's 126,000. It's almost $10,000 difference. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to miss out on. By just waiting 1 year, $10,000 gone, poof. So I just wanted to demonstrate that for you. And hopefully that helps build the picture. So I'll just stop that screen share now. Okay, so I'm back online. So, but you can set the game up to win for yourself. Okay, so one of the best things you can do is decide how much of that extra cash you can put in there. You can actually go to your employer, go to your super fund, and ask your employer. They'll give you a form to fill out to go, okay, I want to put an extra $100 a month towards my super, an extra $200 a month towards my super. You can fill out this form, and your employer takes that out with your compulsory super contributions that they're already giving, and it goes straight into your super, bang, straight then. You don't even know it's missing. It's not there for you to make a decision on if you're going to put it in your super or not. Just get it in there, gone, set yourself up to win. I really encourage you that that's a really good tool for you to do so you don't miss out on that benefit. Now, just imagine if you then ramped that up over time, went from 100 to 200 to 300, $400 maybe. When it comes time for your super to mature, you're going to have a pretty healthy super balance. And that would be awesome. All of us would love to have a fairly comfortable retirement, living and enjoying life the way that we envisage it to be, rather than just merely surviving for the rest of our days. And I see that with, a lot of the older generation now. And it's really sad. It's no way. It's not the way that I want to be living my life when I get to that point in my life. So just a couple of other key rules to share around the super contributions. Yep, it's a great thing, but there is a limit to it. The limit's pretty healthy. It's called the super contributions cap. Now that cap is, as we speak, it got increased last year to this year from $25,000 to $27,500. So that is the amount of contributions that you can make to your super to take advantage of that concessionary tax rate of 15%. And that is directing your income into your super rather than taking that income yourself and then paying your income tax on it. Now, if you pay more than $27,500, then it just goes into your super at your income tax rate. None of us want to do that. You might as well keep it liquid in your own hand instead of locking it up until you're 60. Now, it does sound a lot. It does sound pretty healthy, but you know what? If you set yourself a goal and you focus on it year after year, you will get there. That's one thing that I did many years ago. I went, wow, $25,000 it was at the time. How am I ever going to get enough spare cash to max out that super contribution cap? But you know what? I did some things in my life. I did some stuff in my employment. Got myself some promotions, done a few other things, and got myself some extra income, and I got there. And I continually do that every year now because I see the value in it. Now, the other thing about if you're doing this as a post-tax contribution, so you've received your income and then you go and put that income into your super fund, there is a particular form that you have to fill out, and you've got to ask your super fund for this. And it is a notice of intent to claim a deduction for personal contributions. You have to get this notice from your super fund. So after the end of the financial year, contact them and you get that notice, and it all gets sorted out with your tax return. So give that along to your accountant. If you don't do that, you don't get the rebate. So it's an important notice to make sure that if you're going to go down this path and take advantage of it, that you actually get to keep it. So that's quite important. And probably the only other thing as well, if you're doing really well and your income is approaching 250 grand, and when it exceeds 250 grand, there is a bit of a sting in the tail here. So for high income earners, our concessionary tax rate for super contributions at 15% becomes 30%. Whack, whammo. So if you're one of the lucky ones that's done really well with your career and you're approaching that 250 grand, just wanted to let you know that is lurking in the background. It's called the Division 293 tax rule. I don't want you to get all excited about getting promotions, getting to 250 grand, then finding out that you've just been slugged an extra 15% on what you thought was going to be a great benefit for you. So don't want anyone to get that surprise. I know when I got there, I got that surprise. I was a little disappointed. No one needs that sort of a shock. So, yep. There are, like I showed before, there's some amazing free resources out there for you to use. There's a bunch of free resources. I'll just share screen again and take you through those free resources that I was just using one of them before, just to let you know that they're there. And in the comments after this video, I'll put those links in the comments so you guys can go and pick up those free resources and explore them and have some fun. Just let me share screen again. Okay. And all right, so I already shared that compound interest rate calculator for you. If you're wondering how much tax you're going to pay with your income, there's an easy way. The Australian Tax Office website has some really good tools. So here's just a simple tax calculator. You can just, I'll give you this link. If you scroll down here, down the bottom, there's the tax calculator itself. So you just click on that, and ask you a few questions. So select an income year. So let's say this year. Well, that's last year actually. What's your total taxable income for the full income year? Let's say it's $120,000. Yes, you're resident in Australia for the full year. Let's just keep it simple. Unless you've been living overseas for part of the year, we don't have to worry about that. Click submit, and there we go. Your estimated tax is $29,000. Bugger. Yeah, we get taxed a lot here in Australia. So that's one simple tax calculator. There's another thing as well in regards to your super fund. Now, just because an employer offers you a super fund, that's their default fund, you don't have to go off that super fund. There, you can choose a super fund of your choosing, and one of the mistake people make as well as they move from employer to employer, they just open up with the next super fund. So I encourage you to go and get all of those bits and pieces super and get it into one fund. It's not too hard to do. But here's just a simple comparison tool that the government has set up around super. So I'll just scroll down here. I'll go click on the comparison tool. There we go. And it compares the industry super funds, which most of us have access to. So unless you're knocking it out of the park with your investments and you got hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, this is probably the best way to go. In the meantime, once you get a large super fund, then I can do other videos on maybe getting a financial advisor and having your super managed a little differently. But here you can just see here 75 super products found. As a default balance of 50,000. You could search by your own fund name in there if you want, but I'll just bring it up here. Let's just do a quick one. Okay, if we just click on this, what's the best performing funds in Australia? So I'll just click on that 7-year net return, and no surprise, these are the two that normally top the list: Host Plus and Australian Super. So if you're not over at either of one of those, you might want to consider actually changing all of your super over to either Host Plus or Australian Super. They are continually the top performing industry super funds in Australia. So that's just another really good tool there from CBUS. See plenty of ads around the CBUS fund as well. Not quite as good as Host Plus or Australian Super, as you can see there. So that's just another bit of a tool for you to actually do a bit of your own research and get comfortable about your super returns. And another really good website that I want to share is superguru.com.au. Now, this is a website that's put up by the Australian Super Fund Association, and that association sort of sets all the policy, does research, and is an advocacy body for Australia's super industry. So it's a really good website. There's all sorts of things in here about learning more about your super, just how it works, how to manage your super, grow your super. Lots of really simple stuff to learn more about your super if you don't know much about it. It's it's worthwhile poking around in here and checking some of this out. So, like I said, I'll put the links for all of those in the video once this video is done. I'll just stop the screen share there. Okay, I should be back on camera. Okay, so I hope you found that really informative today. Don't know if you realize you're leaving 17.5% of your income behind on the table, or you could have it invested and working for you over time, and really pumping up your super so you can have a comfortable retirement. I'd encourage you to watch this video again, have a think about those things, and start putting a plan together to put a little bit extra into your super every year. So that's it from me for this evening. I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you got value out of that, and I look forward to talking to you guys again in the next video. I'll see you later. Bye for now.